What's up, fellow heroes? And today I got for you a banger video. I'm joined today with Asian Man. I always forget the numbers. I'm sorry.
Asian Man 593, the most random 3 assortment of numbers you will ever see.
And today we're coming back with part 2 of The Last of Us HBO TV series. We did part 1 already. Go check it out on the YouTube Digital Hero 101. Actually, I got channels now. So go check out the channel. Go check out the Mario channel. That's Mar101, and you'll be able to find it there. Where we discussed our Last of Us kind of the first 4 episodes, and now we're going to be talking about the last 5 episodes and probably just the series as a whole today because wow,
what a freaking show!
What a show, man! What a show! Now, I already did a review for the show. I kind of talked about it in my review. I talked about, ooh, that was a good idea. I probably should have grabbed some water myself. I talked about how there's a lot of copy and pasting going on in the show, and I think I want to get that out of the way real quick, since we're talking about like a generalization of the show and a lot of adaptations. You know, I used to think like, why don't adaptations just swing? Why do they always swing and a miss when they have something like the Halo TV show, for example? That, you know, you have a W sitting there waiting for you. You got something in the works. You know it's going to work. Everyone loves Halo. Everyone loves the Halo series, and yet they completely dropped the ball when it came to the show because they didn't want to copy it. They wanted to make it a little more original. But I found myself when I was watching The Last of Us TV show, it was I was a bit disappointed because I was like, man, I've already seen this. Like, I've already seen, but you know, they do the same. And I mentioned this to my chat before. It was like, well, they do the same thing in anime. However, usually when I read a manga, I don't watch the anime. I read all of Naruto. I've never seen like an episode of Shippuden.
Honestly, good for you, because I just finished up the original Naruto series not too long ago, and that was a hike. I'll say that was a hike, considering it is 365 episodes of mostly filler.
Yeah, it's a lot of filler. But then it's like, it's one of those things where, you know, there are a lot of people who didn't play the video game Last of Us. And it opens up to those people, and they got to have a new experience for it. And so I think it's okay. I'm like, it's not that it was 100% a copy paste. They did change some things. They changed. Episode 3 is completely new. Episode 2 did a little bit of new world building and stuff like that. And was there anything different outside? I mean,
honestly, that's kind of where that's kind of what I loved about it, was that it was more of a copy and paste, especially for those who haven't played the game, because to them it was a new experience. They have no life with this game. They have no experience with this game. So when they go play the game, they'll be like, they can like compare and contrast, be like, the game was better, or what they liked in the TV show, maybe they didn't like in the game. Like, it's a very good jumping off point. And like we said in the last episode, having Neil Druckmann in there to copy and paste it and adapt it was the best thing they could do. But even me, for someone who has played the game and loved the game, like, I loved the fact that they copy and pasted a good majority of it, because I mean, they have a story already. Why would they deviate? Why would they deviate from it? Like, take the Assassin's Creed movie, and how much of a train wreck that was. I would have loved a copy and paste of the first Assassin's Creed video game as a movie. Like, they had that in the bag, but they decided to go the original route, and and I hated it. But like, compare with something like the D&D movie coming out, where they can just be original and just mess around. Which, guys, I'm super excited about that movie.
I'm excited about it too. I think my predictions, you can quote me on this. I think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be that great.
I don't think it's going to be a great great movie, but it's going to be entertaining and it's going to be super meta.
Yeah,
And
it's well, it well, I'm gonna be a rule lawyer for all the D&D people right now. Druids can't turn into owlbears.
oh my god, I'm pretty sure they had a whole interview about that one subject.
Really? What did they say?
They said that they could. I'm pretty sure they said they could, but also we've been playing
Well,
D&D more than they have, so
true, true. So, I want to touch back up on like what you were saying about the audience and how like if they go back and play the game, and it made me think like, you know, with this whole copy and paste method, it really did give people who've never played the game the same experience as people who did play the game, because the running joke that's going on right now, spoilers, we're about to head into spoiler sections, so if you hadn't seen the show, I do recommend it. I gave it a 10 out of 10, and go watch it. But if for those of you who don't know what's going on the internet right now, is, you know, the debate of was Joel right, you know, has resurfaced from people who've never played the game and never understood what was going on. Now, you know, they're watching the show and they're like, wow, what the heck just happened? And they really captured everything about that. And I think, like, I want to hear your thoughts on that towards the end of this podcast right here. We'll leave it on that, on what we thought about Joel's actions, and you know, and the situation as a whole. But you know, last we left off was on episode 4, right? So we met Kathleen. Yeah, we met Sam and Henry, Kathleen, Perry. They all, you know, died. They're all gone. They're no longer with us. And my alerts. Oh, I don't have my alerts connected to this source. Oh, no. Thank you, Ezio, for the subscription. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thank you for that. And I'm not going to worry about my alerts. I'm not going to worry. And then right after that, right? So, you know, Ellie's felt bad for Sam.
Right.
You know, she thought she could save him, and I think this is real important because we go into kind of Ellie's backstory.
Right.
We go into I think there's a lot of like, there's not really a B plot in this movie, right? There's flashbacks and there's stuff. The B plot is kind of the conversations that they have with one another and the story that happens, the lore and the world building that happens around them. So episode 7 was the flashback.
Yeah, the DLC episode, as I like to say.
What was episode 5? What happened in episode 5?
Episode 5 was Sam and Henry's death. So we're on episode 6, I think now.
You're right. Episode 5 was Sam and Henry's death. Episode 6 was them walking into the wilderness, and this is whenever he finally found his brother.
Yes. Yeah. When we got Tommy back into play.
This was because this was the turning point of their relationship. Because in episode 4, you know, he was starting to trust her, but in that same episode, he called her cargo. He said, "You're cargo. You're not. You know, you're not anything else."
And that's mentality throughout, so he doesn't catch feelings, so he doesn't attach himself to her, so he doesn't experience the pain again.
Right. You know, he's keeping her a good arm's length. So we go into episode 6, and he runs in the family, but we also, I think this is the only episode outside of episode 9 where we really get into like Joel's psyche. We really get to see the emotional side of Joel.
And like how much actual like fear is inside of Joel. I mean, just from the opening scene where that dog starts sniffing Ellie. Like, he is scared for his life, and he even tells Tommy, like, I'm so scared that I can't protect her. Like, it like does even in that sense, does he mean, is he scared that he can't protect her from fulfilling his mission, or that he just can't protect her as the person that she is as
Yeah.
the father figure that Pedro Pascal has anointed himself as. Like, and that was a very interesting. That was a very interesting point, honestly, because they never really touched on that in the games.
Yeah,
Or did
no, they didn't. No, I mean, not. I think you have a better memory of the video games than I do, but no, they never really touched on those aspects in the game. There was never a moment where it was mash circle to beat anxiety, So
yeah.
I really like this. I really liked it because I think like that's what episode 3's main purpose was Bill was a mirror image of Joel and kind of was like Bill was able to express his feelings in a way that we don't really expect Joel to express himself. However, Bill is Joel, a surrogate for Joel, and so I thought that's the importance of episode 3. So whenever we do see Joel become emotional, it doesn't feel out of character because we've already seen it. We've already experienced it from a character that was so similar to him.
Right.
And
I mean, even then, like he has expressed about like guilt and sadness and grief with even Tess. Like we see that he's not a hardened man. He's still a person who has all these emotions, and they made it a point like he has emotions and he shows them when he wants to.
Exactly. Well, I don't know when he wants to, right? Because he suppresses them.
Exactly, because he wants to suppress them. He doesn't.
Oh,
want to show them.
okay.
Yeah,
I
he doesn't
see.
want to show them.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. And I like the little talk that they had with right before they run into Tommy and the dog and stuff like that, and he's talking about he wants to sheep. He wants to have a farm or a ranch, and he wants to herd sheep and things like that. And it gives them another goal to go after besides the one that they do, because it's like that moment of like, okay, I've spent all this time getting here, so now what do we do? And so I think like that was another hint of I want to know your future, so maybe I can fit into it, kind of thing. And of course we meet Tommy. Tommy is expecting a kid. He's grown up. He's trying to mature, but he's still Tommy. And and I like how like this wasn't just a lovey-dovey like moment. It's so weird.
Yeah, it wasn't like a reconnection. It was more of a reconnection, but then they just made riffs. Joel made riffs to keep to still kind of keep a wall in between them, which I found very, very interesting for Joel's character, who half of his mission was to find Tommy.
Yeah. And well, it's almost like there's this jealousy that just seeps in because Joel finds Tommy and then is like kind of jealous that Tommy is living the great life, living a life that but here's the thing, is like I think Joel definitely had opportunities to live this type of life, but after his daughter died, because we learn about this in episode 9, so I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but we learned that he tried to kill himself,
right? Which that was very, very heartbreaking.
But he hasn't. Oh man, he hadn't like accepted the fact that he was still alive. He kept putting himself in dangerous situation after dangerous situation in order to, maybe something else will be able to finish the job for him. He became a zombie. He became.
Interesting.
He turned himself and like, but in the one person who is immune to zombies, who has the cure to the disease, is what cures his own zombification.
And opens himself in his heart. That's a great way of putting it.
I'm here all night.
Mic drop. Boom.
Well, so that's why like I think like episode 6 is a very important episode because they have that iconic scene where they are arguing with each other.
Bedroom scene. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That was, which on another copy and paste A plus, line for line, spot for spot, perfect scene.
Yeah.
I had like chills. I had like goosebumps sticking out throughout the whole conversation. I was like, "Ooh, boy!" And that's where I'm like, Bella Ramsey. I think you are solidifying yourself as an actor here.
Oh yeah, she's done great, and I know she's been in. I know she was in like one other thing. It was like a teen romance thing.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, but she's like, she's supposed to be married off, but she doesn't want to be married off, and it takes place in like either the Renaissance area or the medieval time. But yeah, and then of course Game of Thrones, and now this, and she's handled the press pretty well, with them saying like, a lot of people not really liking the LGBTQ qualities of the show, and she's just like, F them, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, and that's from people who haven't played the video game, because this stuff was in the video games.
Oh yeah,
I think
nothing new.
People that are yeah, exactly. I think it's just hard to accept for some unknown reason that people just love each other, and just let them love each other. God damn it. Anyways, I digress.
Now, what do you think is the biggest takeaway from episode 6?
Episode 6, I think, was really the big start of Joel officially opening up to Ellie and accepting her as a person. Especially because when Tommy is about to just take her, like, Joel is there and he's like, you have a choice. Like, do you still want to go with me, or do you want to go with Tommy and be safe? Like, openly he says that. And I think that's honestly a huge stepping stone for Ellie too, because she has this father-like figure that she has never had in her life.
Yeah.
She was raised by the Fireflies, and she makes it apparent that everybody in her life has died in tragic ways, which you see in the next episode, or episode 8, right? Episode 8, yeah.
7.
7.
What, like, the flashback episode was episode 7.
Okay.
And then episode 8 was her. Was when you get to play as Ellie in the video game.
Yes, which I've got a lot to say about that episode, because it was honestly one of my favorite episodes. But anyways, I digress. But the one thing that I will say I had a problem with about the ending of episode 6.
Okay, I want to hear this.
Was Joel's death, quote unquote death.
Okay, keep going. Yeah, I want to hear this.
Because in the video game, I had such an emotional attachment to Joel, and when I thought that he died, I died inside, because I thought that was the end of Joel. I thought Joel was just dead. And it was a huge moment, like Joel jumping off of the 2-story building and fighting his way with Ellie out of the freaking school. That in the video game, that is a pivotal moment in their relationship, showing that Joel is willing to die for this kid. Like, even though he never says it, it is pivotal. In the TV show, it was kind of anticlimactic. I was like, bro, you got stabbed by a fucking bat? That's it?
I can see that, like, in comparison and things like that. For me, I don't remember the school as much. I remember the monkeys. And I remember, like, you got to listen to the tape recordings, and like one of the idiots got bit by one of the monkeys. That would have been fun if they put that in. Yeah, that was just them looking at stuff. For me, it's one of those things where, like, anytime you see something good happen in a movie or a TV show, like, expect it to be robbed from you. Like, if two love interests get together before the end of the film, then it's like, oh, someone's gonna die.
Yeah. It was very funny. My roommate watched it with me, and I asked him like, "What did you think?" And he said, "Joel's not dead, is he?" Because of the sheer fact that Joel was a main character.
Yeah.
And that was another thing. I was like, again, it was so anticlimactic. Like Joel just, I mean, I don't know how to describe it. Like I wanted the rush of escaping. I wanted the rush of Joel falling off of that two-story building and having that like needle stick through his side. I
Yeah.
wanted the rush of seeing him in so much pain, limping his way to that hospital exit, and Ellie fighting for her life and Joel struggling to fight for his life.
Yeah.
Like I wanted that.
I'm gonna bring a counterpoint.
Okay.
So I feel like what you're describing sounds one freaking awesome. How it sounds hardcore. However, it makes sense for the video game, right? Because the video game is kind of a lot more action based, a lot more high intensity than there's a lot more. There's even more thriller moments in the video game. There's more like scary, spooky moments in the video game than there are in the TV show. The TV show took one aspect of the video game and decided to like hyper focus that, which was like the people and the attachment to people and the emotional value that people can give one another. So I feel like if that was in the show, it would be over the top. Like it would feel out of place for the TV show, because the most exciting thing that happens in the whole series is when Tess blows herself up.
Yes. That was huge. That was in more ways than one.
Right. And like, so I think some things from the video game. So, because I've heard some complaints from people other than Ben Shapiro that.
Oh, yeah.
That, they should have featured more zombies. I take it back. Episode 5 was the most exciting moment because, they break out of the. All hell breaks loose on episode 5.
Right. Episode 5 was the perfect blend of humanization, conflict, all hell breaking loose, and sadness at the end.
Yeah.
Like I said, second time I watched that episode, I like wept hard.
It's a tough one. That episode hits hard. That episode got me a little bit too, because the ending of that one. Yeah. But I do think like the action and stuff like that, it just wasn't a place for this show. I as much as the game emphasized it is a video game, right? They have like 50 plus hours that they have to fill with content, and some of that content can be in varieties and can shape different things in different forms. So I do agree with you, but I also think like I was content with it, only due purely to the fact that it kept its steady rhythm. And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, they're no longer arguing. They're finally on the same team. They finally have everything that they want and need, and we know how much they care about each other. And then boom, just like a moment's notice, you can lose everything. Yes, everything is ripped away, which then leads us to I'm sorry, say what you're going to say.
I was just going to say, I do agree with you. And I was actually talking to somebody, and he was like, would have been very hard to translate that moment onto film. So I'm like,
really? Okay.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Like, plus, I mean, Pedro Pascal is like 50 years old. It would have been hard to have him. It would have been hard to have him fall from a 2-story building.
That's what stunt. That's what the stunt actors are for.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I think a heavy sequence like that would have disrupted the flow of just the episode in itself.
Right. Because it's a mugging that just happens. But we go into episode 7, which I think complements episode 6 a lot, due to the fact that we now have to see everything from Ellie's point of view. This is the first time
where Ellie's like part in the game really starts.
Exactly. And we get to see what it was like for her before she met Joel, something we've never seen before outside the DLC.
Yep.
But we got to see her in school, and
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like what they were training her for, and
Upcoming, like what she could have been, a Fedra agent, like
yeah,
and like her love, like the now for those who don't know, this episode 7, Left Behind, was based off of the DLC of The Last of Us, which you could not play until you beat the game. So some people might not be able to get to that point, but it is kind of a short part of the game, but it is fantastic. Like it is a great part of the game. Like you also get Ellie's backstory. Like it really, this episode was a real good copy and paste and still original.
yeah.
Which I was shocked about. I was like, how are they going to stick a DLC? I was like, when I heard it was going to be in there, I was like, it's got to be a flashback episode. But I was like, where are they going to stick it?
And that was Riley Abel, right?
Yeah.
So that was
Yep.
Riley, played by Storm Reed, which
Never
the only
heard of her,
thing
but...
I've seen her from was Euphoria.
Oh yeah, that's right. She was in Euphoria.
She's the sister. So Euphoria is
Honestly, that
great.
tracks.
I recommend Euphoria if you haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm. Great show, great teen drama. Zendaya slapped in
Yeah,
it.
teen drama for sure. Yeah.
But I'll be honest, this was another episode that kind of got me crying a little bit. Like
This one was tough. This one was scary. I think like, so going back to kind of the thought I started with Tommy and Joel is I really like how they bait you in with these relationships. How there's always tension. There's always like, it's never smooth. It's never just like, hey, I love you. Hey, we're together. Hey, there's always something. It's always complicated, and it's not like overly complex. Where the thing that I hate the most, that I really really hate the most when I watch TV shows is unnecessary drama. Unnecessary drama. For an example, any CW TV show, specifically the superhero ones, the DC, Arrowverse, Flash, they create so much unnecessary drama that it pulls me away from the whole thing. Whereas here in The Last of Us, there's things like, you've been gone, I thought you were dead, or you're gonna be, this is the last time I'm ever gonna get to see you. Should I even like press my feelings towards you, or do I even understand what I'm feeling? It's so beautiful how these two, you could tell that they don't really understand the feelings that they have, and that they haven't really expressed their feelings to one another, and they don't ever say that. We could just see it in the way that they interact with one another. And it's so good. It's so good acting that highlights from both of them.
Mm-hmm. And like when both of them get bitten at the end, they didn't have to say anything. You just see in their eyes the defeat and the despair.
Yeah.
And what kills me about this episode is they never show Ellie killing Riley.
No.
But it happened because Ellie has said she has killed somebody.
Yep.
And all throughout the show, you're like, who did she kill? See this episode, it clicks. And it makes it even that much more tragic. Like, this episode, I want to say, was kind of Shakespearean, honestly, with the way it was. It was a tragedy episode.
Yeah.
And, like, throughout the episode, there's the fear of getting caught by Fedra and everything. But when they show the clicker in that one shot, that's where the stakes just rise.
And it's funny too, because it's like episode 7 is basically set up the same way that episode 6 is set up, except it's from Ellie's point of view instead of Joel, because Ellie's going through the same thing that Joel's going through, where she doesn't want to it's the loneliness. She doesn't want to attach herself to Riley. She doesn't want to put herself in a situation where she can get hurt. She walks away from the situation, but then changes her mind, just like Joel does. Because what they really wanted to show us from the very beginning is that Ellie is not Joel's daughter.
Right.
Ellie is Joel. That's what they
Exactly.
really wanted us to get from that. And because Ellie is Joel, when we see episode 7, we're rewatching episode 6 without really realizing it.
Yeah.
So when Ellie's in a situation again, and like that's the whole point. The obvious feature of that episode is that she lost Riley and now she's in the same situation with Joel all over
Joel.
again.
Right.
She sticks to Riley's promise, which I thought was beautiful. And it's like what you're saying, a Shakespearean play. It's a mythos play, right?
Yeah.
You're supposed to learn a lesson from this. And you described it so perfectly by saying Shakespearean. I love that you said that because the lesson learned is like don't give up.
Don't give
keep
up.
fighting.
Like, keep fighting. Don't abandon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just keep going. And that was the huge revelation that Ellie has. Like, she had that choice to leave Joel and carry on by herself. And at the end, she's like, I'm not leaving Joel. I am going to help this man who I see as me, as my father, the one person I have had in this life that didn't die or give me away or anything, who stuck with me no matter what.
Yep. It was in that moment where like, she's sewing him back together, and then they hold hands. Like he understands what's happening because he doesn't say anything for nearly 2 episodes.
Yeah, which I'm like, good on you, Pedro Pascal, for acting so well in an episode where you say literally nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, A+. But again, this was also a huge showcase for Bella Ramsey. This episode and the next episode, again, we'll get.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk into episode 8. Your favorite episode?
Oh boy. Okay, episode 8 was the reason I wanted HBO to have this TV series. When I heard HBO was gonna have Last of Us, I was like, this part in the game is going to be amazing, and they did not let me down.
Of all the things that I remember from playing the video game, episode 8, the level based around that is still the one that is like most vividly in my mind. And I think they captured it like perfectly.
Like, amazingly. Like, and it was very interesting to bring in the religious cult factor. I thought that was an awesome addition to this. Instead of having just David and James. Also, for those who don't know, the James, the right hand man of David, was played by Troy Baker, aka the original Joel in the video game. I love that. I knew he was gonna be James. I knew it. I was like, he's gonna be in the Cannibals, isn't he? I was like, oh man. But this was the episode where in my opinion, solidified Bella Ramsey as an actor. Because
Oh really? This one?
she just made my heart sink at the end. Like, I felt so many emotions. Honestly, I felt a lot of tension in the TV show that I like elevated than I did in the game. Like, when David's about to chop Ellie and he like puts the cleaver next to her head, I like jumped. I was like, oh my God.
It's very quick. It's very quick. It's very aggressive, and it's. I like the subverting expectations where they trick you into thinking that Joel's gonna be there to save the day,
and
but he's not.
He's still just lying away. And the guy who plays David, his demeanor was so good. Like, I felt calm around him, but I felt creeped out by him, and I felt nervous around him. I was like, I know, but that might be because I knew who he was. But I'm like, there is like that father-like aspect to you that I think worked very well in this cult. And I'm not going to stray away from it. It was a cult, no matter what anyone says. It was a cult.
It was so creepy. It was so disturbing because something's off. You realize something's not going well. There's that part. The most disturbing part in probably the whole show is like they're starving. They have no food. They have no
no
Like
anything.
nothing.
Really.
Sorry, I paused because I'm thinking of like the scene right now, and you know they're making the stew, and they give her meat,
Yep.
and she's like, "What is this?" And he's like, "It's venison, like it's deer." But
And then
then
the next shot.
it's him bringing the deer.
Yep. And I'm like, you motherfucker, that's not venison. And like right then it's like, yep, yep, yep. And then it made sense when the girl was just freaking out about like, why can't we give my dad a proper burial? And I love how they connected episode 6 with that. Because the guy whose neck
Yes.
gets snapped, I was like, oh shit, that was the guy that's getting eaten right now.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a twist.
I didn't catch that. That took me a while to figure out because I had to have Kate explain it to me. But yeah, once I figured that out, I was like, oh yeah, that like oh everything's being tied together right now. That because that was it's I can't say this enough. I love like you show you don't tell. Show don't tell.
Yes.
And the ironic part about this is that like they're never really showing us anything. But
They're telling us everything.
they're telling us everything. There's never a part in the movie where there's someone that sits up and says, "Well, yeah, we had to cook the so and so person to make sure that we're all able to eat." No, we're never told that. We have to interpret it all in, and it is so it's so well done. It's so well done.
Especially with the group of people knowing that they are eating human remains.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain they know about it because everyone is so hesitant at first, and they're like, and then they're just like, all right, we have to because we're starving.
Did David the shepherd or whatever? Did he have like a bigger bowl than everyone else? Did he have more food than everyone else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I was like debating if he did. I know like everyone was eating like I love the sound effect of them like scraping their bowls the second it started off, but for me that episode, the best part of that episode for me was when Joel, there's just two words and made the whole episode for me, was Joel saying baby girl, calling Ellie baby girl,
because he hadn't said that in what 20 years.
Like,
and that was another solidifying moment. And just Joel and Ellie, like it was probably one of the it was an amazing moment. And just honestly, Ellie walking out of the burning building was freaking tastic.
Like, covered in
the trauma in her eyes. Like Ellie has been through some shit. And her just freaking out when Joel just touches her and just tries to grasp her and just hug her, embrace her, give her warmth that Joel knows that she needs, because he knows that she almost died in his care. He knows that she almost got eaten by these people. And I'm like, this was a very so well done and hard episode to watch.
It's difficult. And then that brings us to episode 9. The final episode,
piece of the puzzle,
which we have another copy paste moment with the start off with Joel trying to cheer up Ellie and talking about guitar and music and Joel. Really, this is the happiest we've seen Joel.
Really quickly though, backtracking to episode 6. Episode 6 with Tommy and Jackson. Did you see the little cameo that they put in there for Last of Us Part 2?
I don't know.
So in that episode, there was a girl. They panned over to a girl staring at Ellie and Joel while they're talking with Tommy and Maria, and that was Dina from Part 2. That I flipped out. Yeah, same outfit, looks like Dina. I was like, they did that. I cannot believe it. Okay, this might just be me. It might just be a theory, but I'm very, very certain it was Dina. And everyone that I have talked to is very certain it was Dina.
Okay.
Because I
We'll
mean,
see.
why would
We're gonna hold you
why,
to it. We're gonna
I
see
mean,
when, because what part two been like
part two has
they
been announced. It is
okay.
starting filming very soon. I think they're already working on it.
Okay. All right.
Um,
All right. We'll see.
but there's always a reason that they panned things like that, and I'm like, that has to be Dina. That's got to be her. So
We're gonna, a couple years from now, we're gonna come back to this, and I want to hear the "I told you so." I'm
yeah.
skeptical. You know, I'm looking at you right now. You're wearing a tinfoil hat,
We'll see what the
but
YouTube comments have to say.
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it turns out, and what happens to that. Um, but yeah, this
Anyways,
is the
episode
happiest
9.
we've seen Joel. This is the Joel's been miserable, been absolutely, even in
Yeah.
flashbacks. I don't think he was this happy even in the first episode, because in the first
Mhm.
episode he was like tired, you know, he's
Yeah.
tired and just like had
He
to go
was a
to
working man.
work, and you know he's doing his thing, and his daughter kind of held all the happiness for him.
Yeah. Like, but like now, like he has a new life. Like he's accepted the fact that he has somebody to care for, and that's
And
why
yes,
episode
keep
9
going.
happens. I
And
was
then
just
we
gonna say that. Yeah, that's why episode 9 happens. Yeah, that's as simple as that.
all right, let's wrap it up. Hey, everybody. I mean, it's you say it so simplistically that it's like, why even try to say it better? Why even try to say it? But we got the giraffes.
I was so excited. Also, can I just say that was a real giraffe? What? What? That was a real freaking giraffe?
I don't believe it.
That
That
looks
was,
so CGI.
it looked CGI. There's no way it was
But
a
it
real
was
giraffe.
real. It was real. Bella Ramsey posted on Twitter like the giraffe was real. They had a picture of them interacting with it. Like, look it up, dude. Like, the set was CGI, and I think that's why it looked fake.
I don't believe this.
Like,
The
no,
scene
it was a
itself
real
was
giraffe.
a combination of VFX staging scenario and location shooting with real giraffes from the
Mhm.
zoo. What?
Like,
Hold on,
my
guys. Hold on. You guys
my
have
my
to
friend
see
sent
what
me a
I'm looking
TikTok
at right
about it.
now.
Dude, my friend sent me a TikTok about it, and my jaw dropped.
Experience almost being so
I was
close
like,
to
no
such a
fucking
magnificent
way.
animal.
Yes, you can create a giraffe and
It looked
It-
so fake,
It looked so fake.
One thing Alberta does have is
but
a
it's
few
real.
giraffes, and we spent
It's
quite
so
a
real.
while putting things in the
And I'm like, I was so happy when I saw that giraffe because of the sheer fact that I know, one, I wanted that in this episode. I just wanted that period in the TV show.
Yeah.
And it had the calm before the storm moments. Like,
Yeah, because
it
the
had-
giraffe, I think, like this whole time, and they say it in the post episode, so these aren't my words, but like the giraffe is like symbolic in that, you know, there is a future.
Mhm.
You know, this is life. There's, you know, there's baby giraffes, there's out there as well, and that their nature, because we throughout this whole series we've seen the horrors of nature. But now
Yeah.
we're seeing the beauty of nature, and you know we're at the end of the road, and this is Ellie's chance to continue this beauty.
Yeah, Elliot's chance to experience the nice part of life, because
Yeah.
she's just experienced bad, kind of okay in Jackson with Tommy, but still kind of bad for her emotionally.
Yeah,
And then trauma, and then giraffe, calming, awesome. We're about to finish our mission. They're just gonna draw some blood, and we'll be done with it.
yep,
Nope. Oh boy, were we wrong about that.
yep. They so I think the most powerful scene. I think the scene was so powerful more than any other scene in the episode. Even the last scene was when Joel, you know, explains how he attempted to commit suicide, and you know, Ellie she misunderstands the situation, and she's like, "Oh, well, time fixes everything," and he's like, "No."
It wasn't time. It was
And
you.
yeah, there's a complete understanding between between the two of them of what that means. And so I thought that was beautiful. To me, that was real beautiful. And then shit hits the fan. They get captured. Joel realizes really early on that, whoa, she's going to die from this procedure. And I mean, you've already said it, but go ahead and re-explain it for everyone how episode 9 ends.
So Joel, first off, we get reintroduced to Marlene, the leader of the Fireflies, because this was technically her mission.
Yep.
And she explains to Joel that it's not going to be as simple as just drawing blood. Cordyceps grows in the brain, so they are going to take cells from her brain and essentially kill Ellie and distribute that as a vaccine, which, well, I'll get to that later. And so they escort Joel out of the Fireflies because his purpose is done, and they just want to shove him out back into the world so he doesn't mess up any of their plans. And then Joel pretty much just eliminates the Fireflies. He goes on a rampage. Not a rampage. Yeah, I'm going to say it. He goes on a freaking rampage and goes to the hospital room and pulls Ellie out of surgery. Which also, another fun cameo from the video game, one of the nurses is played by Laura Bailey, who, if you guys haven't played The Last of Us Part 2, she has been in a plethora of anime and animated TV shows, most recently Legend of Vox Machina. Look her up. She's
also, she's part of Critical Role. But why are you giving that cameo? Why are you giving her credit for that cameo? You gotta talk about she's Ellie's mom.
Holy shit! How could I forget? Okay, so for those who, I think because of the fact that it was such a quick cameo that people may have missed it, because I didn't catch on it was Laura Bailey.
I didn't either.
In the very beginning, the woman who gives birth to Ellie, Ellie's mother, is played by Ashley Johnson, who is also a part of Critical Role for you D&D nerds out there, but was Ellie in the original video games, the original voice of Ellie, who she won a bunch of awards, BAFTA, a bunch of video game awards, along with Troy Baker. And that scene was honestly heartbreaking. And it explains how Ellie is immune.
Yes, it explains how Ellie's immune, which I think originally that scene comes from a comic book.
Yeah, I don't think that was in the video game.
It's not in the video game. It's never explained. It's explained through like a comic book adaptation of The Last of Us. Ashley. One, I love Laura Bailey. I no discrediting to her or anything like that. I absolutely love her. I also love Ashley and but I think it's cool because Ashley was the original voice of Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
And so she gave birth to Ellie in the video game. And literally gave birth to Ellie
in the TV show. It was a fun full circle, and I was like, that's so awesome. And I'm really glad they were able to incorporate this part of Ellie's life, because I mean, I'm sure that's been a huge question even with the video game goers, like, how is Ellie immune?
Yeah.
And they were able to stick that in, and I'm like, all right. And that also explains Marlene's relationship with Ellie.
Exactly.
Because Marlene has practically been her mother for all of her life.
And the importance of the knife, that Ellie has. And it, like Marlene, it's that thing where like Marlene is trying to, again, this is what they said in the show, not my words, but Marlene's living through Ellie's mom. Like she's just trying to fulfill that promise. Mm-hmm. Or she's trying to make sure that like her friend didn't die in vain.
Right.
When that's tough. Like what would
you do in that situation?
What would Ellie's mom want, really? And before we get into that, because I think that has to do with whether Joel was right or wrong, we get the most probably iconic, the controversy / thing that makes people fall in love with this game and show. Joel going, you were talking about how he was getting escorted out, but then decides I'm gonna rescue Ellie and kills everybody.
Yep, on a montage of just just wiping out the Fireflies practically.
And he kills the doctor, and he takes Ellie, and then he kills Marlene.
Marlene.
Uh,
I'm not gonna say friend, but confidant.
yeah. So, what do you think? You now don't feel like you have to answer in a white or black, right? You can give
Right.
I'll go ahead. I'll go first. I'll say
Okay.
what I.
Yeah.
So like, I love this. I love this because I'm gonna quote one of my friends here who I used to do some podcasts with. Jeff. He's into the movie scene, and he's into a bunch of things. And he says something that's kind of stuck with me. If the movie tells me or shows me something, that's what I have to believe. If the movie doesn't tell me or show me something and I'm making it up, then that's not true. So whatever the movie or TV show gives me, the source of media gives me, I have to believe that. Now, don't get me wrong. There are exceptions to everything. So obviously there are places for interpretations that they want there to be. With Joel, I think this is beautiful. I love this. I love this right here. Because on one hand, we know what we're supposed to do, but we also know what we want to happen. We want Ellie to survive.
Right.
But we know that Ellie needs to die in order to save
the
humanity. So we ourselves are conflicted because we are happy that Joel and Ellie get to be together.
Right, but we're despairing for this world that could have been saved, which that is actually a huge influence on my answer, right? Honestly.
Yeah.
That's a
And
huge influence on my answer.
so the thing is, in the video game, Joel is a character.
Right.
You are not Joel. You don't make decisions for Joel. You are replaying through Joel's decisions.
Right.
And you could sit there and point your gun at the doctor till kingdom come. And nothing will happen. It's not like Far Cry where you can beat the game in 2 minutes because you did nothing for the first, 30 moments of the game. No, the game will let you sit there until you pull the trigger and kill the doctor. Because this is what Joel is going to do. There is no stopping him from doing this.
It is Joel's story.
It is Joel's story. This is not your story. And so I think that's real important because Joel has found something that he loves more than
life itself.
Life itself, more than anything in the world. He is willing to sacrifice the world for this girl. And in a way, it's kind of selfish.
Yes.
Because he's doing it for himself. He's not doing it for them. But at the same time, the world is already to shit. There's if we really want to find another way of taking care of this, I bet in Joel's mind he's like, that's their problem. That's not my problem. That's not her problem. We're gonna do our own thing. And so for me, it's one of those things where you're just kind of like, fuck them. And there's those people that say, well, who knows what the doctor was gonna, who knows if this doctor really knew what was going on? Who knows if that's brain surgery. Like, how do we know if they're going to come up with a cure right away? And to my response to that is like, this video game does such a good job at relaying information to its audience. We talked about the cannibalism and the deer. Yeah. If the show really wanted to subvert our expectations, it would show us that. Right. But it doesn't. So we have to believe that this was the cure.
Right.
And we as an audience are stuck watching. We're stuck sitting there with our crosshair pointing at the doctor, and all we can do is just understand what's going on. We have to understand.
We have to shoot.
Yeah.
Have to pull the trigger. Like, there's no getting around it.
But yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Like, I agree 100% with everything you said. Like, it is a very morally gray area. Like, one of my friends was actually playing Last of Us, and we were talking about it, and she says, in good conscience, I agree with Joel. Because honestly, in my opinion, in good conscience, if I were a father and I found out that they had to kill my daughter, I would have done the same thing. Honestly, I would have. Killed
what else
all
would you
of
do?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even if it was for the world, for a vaccine that honestly could, like, who cares what the doctor could have done? Who knows if the vaccine would have worked?
Yeah. And then
Like-
we're talking about distributing this as well.
The government
Right.
would have monopolized that shit. Fedra would have monopolized it so hard.
Fedra would have monopolized it. If Fedra got their hands on it, the Fireflies could have been corrupted. But we've also seen, when has there been a single time in the whole series where one person met another person and they trusted each other?
Never.
So you, like, the idea of getting this vaccine out to everybody, whoo.
Yeah, it's kind of, is this really going to happen, or is it just going to stay with the people in power?
And so, like, using the context clues that were given for us, there is a lot of corruption. There is a lot of distrust. So getting the vaccine is the easy part. Distributing it and all that other stuff, that's the hard part. I do not think, nor will I ever believe, no matter what people tell me, that's what was going through Joel's mind.
Right.
Joel wasn't being like, well, there's approximately about like 1 billion people left into the world. And so if we were to distribute this, it would take about over 30 decades to get this all formally. Like, no.
Yeah, they're like, no one ever thinks about that shit.
Yeah,
And with good reason. And I'm like, like I said, he found something that was worth living for and killing for and dying for.
Yep.
And even in the TV show, this is Joel's story still.
Yeah.
And like I personally think Joel did do the right thing, because honestly, if they made this vaccine, the world would have gone into even more hell than it would have been. There would have still been clickers running rampant. Everyone would have been fighting for each other for this vaccine. People would have been killing each other in the streets again.
I can't. Who's to say, right? Like there's so much speculation. That's a whole nother podcast in itself. Like we can go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, no, and it ends really chilling because, of course, Ellie, if she had trusted, she knows what's up. Why would she ask him? Why would she ask him to swear to it if she didn't know, what that something was up? And she knows she's lying, but she chooses, to trust him and to live this out. And it, for her, holy shit, man! Like this was all for what?
Yeah.
What
Like,
did
this
all
whole
those people
journey,
die for? Yeah.
all in vain. Like, but to be frank, I think Joel fulfilled Ellie's mother's promise a lot more than Marlene did.
Yeah,
Like-
I agree. And the thing is like the person who gets something out of it is Joel, and everyone else kind of like suffers or dies.
Yeah.
Because Tess
Tess died for this cause.
Yeah, Tess died for this cause in the belief that Ellie would bring a vaccine to everything, and
Bill
Ellie's
gave up his car for this cause. Like,
yeah. But
like,
what? Any final thoughts on the series as a whole?
I think, like you said, it was a 10 out of 10 series. I was thoroughly satisfied. They shed a new light onto The Last of Us that I personally would never have thought about.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate, copy and pasting for video game media is never a bad thing.
With
If
a
you
little
have-
bit of adaptation sprinkled in.
Exactly.
That was actually going to be my next question for you. So that's awesome that you just like.
Yeah, I think copy and pasting in the format of a TV show is the way to go.
Yeah.
I think TV shows are the right thing for video games. Like take Resident Evil. I love those video games. The execution on those movies were horrible.
I will say this:
and-
Sonic the Hedgehog broke the curse.
Detective Pikachu broke the curse.
No, Detective
Yes.
Pikachu was horrible.
Detective
No,
Pikachu broke the curse.
Detective Pikachu was such a
Okay.
bad movie. Don't even.
Wow.
That's a bad movie. It's a
I
bad
had
movie.
so much entertainment, but okay. Sonic the
There's a
Hedgehog did
difference
first.
between entertainment and you could have entertainment watching not the room, the room,
Yeah.
but that doesn't make it a good movie.
All right. I'll give you that. Right. Yes. Okay. Yes. Sonic did break the curse of video game media. Sonic, and even okay, I'll admit Sonic's not a carbon copy. It was its own original.
It's its own thing,
but it did so well.
It did break the curse. Yep. And Last of Us continues the trend. Hopefully, other adaptations kind of follow suit. And for those of you, this isn't the first time this is done. Again, anime's done this for years. Game of Thrones was basically a copy and paste.
Yeah, until the last season. Yeah.
But all right, cool. What's your rating for Last of Us?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Honestly, I'd give it an 11. Okay, yeah, 10 out of 10. Stick with it, 10 out of 10.
Work.
Nitpicky things that I was a little bummed about, but again, they were nitpicky. That still didn't take away from the ultimately joyful experience that I had watching the show.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, tell everyone what's going on in your life. Where can we find you? What's up?
All right, guys. Y'all know me. I'm AsianMan593. You guys can catch me on Mondays and Tuesdays and Thursdays on Twitch at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch me on TikTok doing ice cream reviews anytime. And Instagram also at AsianMan593. Or Twitter at Man593Asian. I don't know what's up with Twitter on that one. I got to talk to them about that. But I'm a variety streamer. Currently, my lineup is Genshin Impact, Final Fantasy VII, and Fortnite.
Quite the lineup. Wow, yeah. Good stuff, man.
One-on-one, let me know.
Bro, I'll take you up on that. We'll have to do some. We'll have to play some Fortnite sometime this week, if not next week. All right, guys. Thank you, Chris. I'm gonna let you go. I'm about to continue this stream. We're about to hop over and maybe play a little bit of multiplayer games, and then we got to play some Diablo for the rest of the night. Go check out. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe goes a long way. Appreciate it. Until next time, guys.
See you guys. Peace. See you.
Nice.
Part 2.
I'm just letting the best of play videos go by.